one of our care home managers, Jo Stinton, who works in Sutton Coldfield in Birmingham, and she's going to talk to you, tell you about a story of their improvement projects and sort of go through the what they did to reduce interruptions to medicine rounds in Marian House. So thank you, Jo. If you pop your camera on, and we'd love to hear about your project now. Thanks.
Hi everyone. I think lovely Caroline got some good ideas from you there.
Can you just turn your volume up a little bit, or adjust the microphone so it's in front of your. Have you got your headset on?
No.
Adjust the.
Can you do it now?
Have you got your headset? Because I think it would be better with the headset.
Try that. Is that better?
Much better, yeah, lovely.
Oh,
Thank
brilliant.
you.
That's good. Right, so I manage a 42-bedded nursing home in Sutton Coldfield, and in March this year we decided to look at improving the safety of our medications. So with Caroline, she helped us with our QI project for reducing medication interruptions, avoidable medication interruptions. So the reason we did that, because we noticed that yes, it was an area that needed looking at, and that was from the feedback from staff. And we did a baseline audit, and that showed that on the morning round particularly there was a lot of interruptions. So with Caroline, we did look at improving that area. Can I have the next slide, please? Next one. Done that, Pom. So what we did initially, Caroline came and did a safety culture questionnaire with the staff. And as it says, approximately 70% of the staff completed the safety culture questionnaire anonymously over a period of 2 weeks. And the plan was that at the end of the QI project that we would redo the safety culture questionnaire to see if there actually had been an improvement. Next slide, please. So this slide shows where we were at the beginning in March, and a couple of the areas that was obvious that needed some improvement was perceptions of management and I've lost the slide. Has everybody else lost it? So I can still carry on.
Yeah, carry on. Yeah, we'll get them back.
So it was the two areas were low scores in recognition of stress and the perceptions of management. But generally there was an overwhelmingly positive culture, but we could nail it down that those were the two areas that we could improve on. So then with help from Caroline, we started gathering the baseline data about actually how many interruptions for each round and which department were actually doing the interruptions. And this was a really simple tool. I think that would be on the next slide, actually. Yeah, that's it. And we did this over a period of 3 weeks, and it captured not just how many interruptions, but how long each medication round took, the reasons for the interruptions, and actually who was interrupting the round. And I must admit, I was actually guilty of interrupting a medication round. And I actually said to the girls who was doing it, don't forget to record it, that it was the manager, which I think went down really well. So the next stage was looking at how we could put this and record it. Next slide, please. And it was really simple to actually transfer and record the interruptions on this tool that Caroline and someone else worked with. And we individualised it to our round times, and carers, doctors, residents, seniors, etc. Were they the ones that were interrupted, etc.? Next slide, please. So the baseline data after the 3 weeks showed that on average there was three and a half interruptions for each medication round, but it was evident that the morning round was the most frequently interrupted, with approximately 2.16 interruptions for each round. And the pie chart there shows who was actually interrupting, and the most significant ones was the carers at 34%, etc. So that was our baseline. So next slide. And then we narrowed it down to what were the top 3 reasons, and these were residents' clinical needs, residents' non-clinical needs, and the telephone inquiries. Next slide, please. So armed with this information, Caroline held a meeting with staff from all departments in the home so that everyone could buy into the improvement project, and they developed their SMART aim, and that the aim was to reduce the number of interruptions from a mean of 3 per round to 2. And this slide shows us having the meeting, and seniors, activities, laundry, cooks, admin were all involved. Next slide, please. So at the meeting, staff gave their ideas for what were the themes. So they said communication was a problem, telephone interruptions, staff allocation and handovers, and the doorbell going. Next slide, please. So at this meeting, they developed their actions for what interventions could be implemented to see if these would actually impact on the number of interruptions. And these included the nurse, instead of having the mobile phone with her, she was to give it to a senior carer while she was doing the medicine round. Remind staff at the handover to use the communication book for non-urgent messages. Nikki, our admin girl, she purchased a book, and that was placed within reach for everybody so they could access it. And we made sure that all staff knew, and the current ones and visitors knew how and when to soft sign tools to escalate. We'd already put things in like the stop and watch, which we'd done with staff and relatives as well before COVID, believe it or not, if ever such a time existed. But so that was a good point. And respectful challenge of avoidable interruptions, because nurses said they found it difficult to actually challenge if somebody was coming up to them while they were doing the medication round. And then that we were asked all staff to consider whether the interruptions were avoidable and if other options were available. So those were the interventions, and they were put into practice. Next slide, please. So the data collection ceased between 18th of April and the 4th of May. But you can see from the graphs there before and after the amount of interruptions. So we reduced from just under 3.5 interruptions to 0.87 per medicine round. So that was a real impact, much better than our original aim. Next slide, please. You'll have to excuse my voice because I've got a sore throat. So, but I've got a cup of tea here. So this gave us a better picture of who were actually interrupting the rounds. So you can see from the before 34% of carers, afterwards 29%. The nurse 27% before, 12% after. So that gave us, and then we could look at some of the reasons. Next slide, please. So that it was analysed, and you can see their resident clinical need, handover issue, staffing issue. All the ones that were avoidable became smaller, such as the staffing issue, 11% before, 2% after. Telephone inquiries from 17% to looks like 5%. So there was a big difference in the number of interruptions. Next slide, please. Some of the feedback from the staff are, as you can see on the screen, but everybody felt involved in the project, and it got people thinking, which I think was the most important thing, rather than just thinking, oh, I can just go and tell the nurse, I can interrupt. I think that was a real big improvement. And I think that the interventions actually came from the staff, made them take more ownership of the project as well, which was good. Next slide, please. So at the end of the project, we did a repeat of the safety culture questionnaire, and we could see that, yes, there had been an improvement in their perceptions of management and in the stress level. There's still some work to do, which I think is important when you're doing a QI project. It isn't just about, yes, we get there and that's it. It can throw up other things along the way. For example, we noticed some nurses took longer with the drug rounds, but they were the ones that were having problems actually doing a respectful challenge. So we worked with them, and as a side, the drug rounds became more time efficient. So going forward, we still will work on the culture of safety and repeat the questionnaire again. At the end of the project, it was important to feed back to the staff throughout. So we had a meeting, and Caroline kindly came and fed back the effect of our QI project, and everybody was over the moon, that they all felt that they'd made a difference, which was really good. They came out of the meeting and they were actually buzzing about that they'd actually contributed to us improving the medication interruptions. And then that followed on that we're now doing reporting errors, improving that. So it's an ongoing cycle. It's not something that's just in a box. And in order to ensure that it's not just a 5-minute wonder, I will be doing monthly 1-week audits to see if we're maintaining the good work, and if not, I can identify it at an earlier opportunity. But we've had a brilliant time doing it, and the staff know that we're actually involved in a lot of QI projects in the home, and they all have a little area now that they're responsible for, because it has become a massive area for us, QI. That's it. Thank you for listening.
I think there's just a couple more slides showing the staff that were involved, Jo. So Naz, if you just go on to the...
sorry, hon.
No,
Yes.
that's all right. No. So I think Jo put this up, this poster up to just celebrate with the staff and show them what they'd achieved.
Yeah.
I think in response to your question, Julian, I think the fact that the staff felt really proud and their safety culture had improved in most of the domains was reflective of that. And the last slide, I think, is a picture of Jo and the team at the home, which included, if you go to the next slide, please, Naz, that's Amandeep, who was also part of the project with Jo and Shazia, and then the whole team with the director, one of the directors who came to that event. So that was really great. Thank you, Jo.
No problem. Take care,
Thanks
everyone.
so much. You're getting very expert at this now.